Hello, folks. Welcome into the Losses Above Replacement podcast. It is Tuesday, May 14th, and we are here to ball out. Cue the intro music. Oh, wait. We fired the intern who was making the intro music. So, Mac and Alex, how are you guys doing, fellas?
Doing okay.
I'm doing, and
As I'm trying to figure, was Jack the intern making the thing? We've already fired him.
No, Jack was just busy today.
Fair enough.
He is crying over Shohei Ohtani and crying over the Padres actually beating the Dodgers once again. The Dodgers,
the only team that can handle them.
Yeah, unless they're playing the Braves, the Dodgers are frauds. I think this is clear. I think this is clear and obvious, as clear and obvious as the fact that the Dodgers get juiced balls. So congratulations, Shohei and Mookie. Your MVP future seasons are fraudulent. So, fellas, one word to describe how you're doing, and then we got to talk about this guy called Paul Skenes, Air Force legend. So you guys get one word each.
Decent.
My word is without any spaces. I'm doing pretty good here. I'm having a good day so far. The last few days have been pretty awesome, and I went to the ball game the other day on Mother's Day, and it was amazing.
Okay,
no spaces.
No spaces.
No spaces. All right.
Sounds like a solid trip on the metro back after the game. So there were not many spaces available in PNC Park the other day. A certain Saturday, May the 11th, one Paul Skenes, I don't know his first name, but Mr. Paul Skenes made his major league debut. Those in the baseball world, like us, we may or may not have said it was the most hyped pitcher debut since one Steven Strasburg against the irate Pirates, June 8th, 2010. I think that's the date at least. Andrew McCutchen actually led off in both games for the Pirates, so a little bit of connected threads there. So, fellas, Skenes, he's here. Tell me about him.
So right now, the main thing when it comes to this is that, this was hyped to the moon and back, and then another trip to the moon and back. I don't think I have seen hype for I'm not even going to say just a pitcher, a player in the game to be brought up as much as I see for Paul Skenes. I mean, if anybody who has the MLB app, like every time he was pitching, it was a free game to watch because everyone wanted to watch, everyone wanted to see it. And also the fact that, remember, he was drafted less than a year ago. He was drafted back when I was I watched that man get drafted. Yeah, because they was drafted in Lumen Field as part of the All-Star festivities. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, big name. Yep. Kind of makes sense that he goes off the board here. I did not think he was coming up in 2024. Like, honestly, I thought it was going to be 2025 at the earliest. And then they're like, no, he's just kind of dominating the minor leaguers right now. So let's just let him go to the major league, see what happens. And he did okay. Not great. Not horrid. But okay. Like, for as hyped as it was for this, it was pretty disappointing. But again, remember, this is a 21-year-old kid. This is a young guy that is still learning how to be at the major league level. And it's his first start. And again, like I said, it was fine. Largely fine. The biggest issue that I had with it was that he only pitched 4 innings. That is something that I think we could worry about a little bit. And I understand that, you don't want to rush him in too much and you want to give him a nice little blanket to work with. But only 4 innings, and during that time, gave up 6 hits, a homer, a few earned runs, but I know 2 of those were after he left due to inherited runners and all that fun stuff. But at the same time, like, looking at what he did that first game, again, the one word to describe it is fine. Looking at what he had overall from the StatCast and all that, his fastball was good. The fact that he came right out of the gates here against Taubman and struck him out, it showed good promise.
Yeah, I mean, he already had a major league ready pitch arsenal when he got drafted out of LSU. By the way, in case people forgot, Paul Skenes was a pretty good hitter when he played at Air Force. He was a catcher primarily. And he had potential to be a two-way player, but he stuck with just pitching. He averaged 100.1 on his fastball. His splitter was nasty. His splinker, to state as a better term for it, 58% whiff rate, 14 whiffs on the day. Very impressive. To Alex's point, though, part of the reason why I thought he wouldn't debut until at least, I'd say, August or September of the year, maybe when the Pirates were completely out of the race, is that he hadn't worked deep into games this year. He'd only thrown as many as 75 pitches in a game. He did throw 6 innings once only. That's the only time he'd worked past 5 innings. So the number one thing I'm going to want to see from him is efficiency. Yes, 7 strikeouts in 4+ innings is good, but 85 pitches in that same outing too. It's one thing to give up hits. It's fine. It's more so the walks that would drive me insane. But I think 7 strikeouts in 4 innings, it's solid.
Yeah,
but
that part's good.
I want to see him, throw more like 6 innings or 7 innings. I know we've seen it with the Mets with Christian Scott. He's thrown into the 7th inning in both of his first 2 outings so far. So if Skenes can, be a little more efficient and show that he can still keep that high octane fastball into the 6th or 7th inning, then I think he's going to be very fun to watch this year. He was fun to watch on Saturday, but like I've been saying, I'd like to see him go a little deeper in games before, I really give him his crown.
The one thing about Livy Dunn's boyfriend that I think separates him from the last, 14 years of debuts since Strasburg is he's a starting pitcher, right? We got hyped for Harper's debut. Some of us got hyped for Soto's debut, Acuna's debut, Julio's debut,
Holiday.
Adley's debut, Jackson Holiday. And Adley was a big one. Adley's probably the high water mark. Harper's probably the high water mark, but in the last few years, it's probably Adley is the normal, like the 1.1 guy and the savior of the franchise type. But he's a catcher. He may not have to field a baseball the entire game. Now, highly unlikely because he's a catcher, but there may never be a ball hit to him, right? Ronald Acuna in left field that day. There may not be a ball hit to him, right? He might only get 4 at-bats or 3 at-bats. So he's on your screen for 5 minutes tops. That was before the rule change or with the pitch clock, but you might get 5 minutes of that. Skenes, starting pitchers like Strasburg back in the day, like Skenes the other day, it's an event, right? There's a Yankees fans, it's a Garrett Cole day. Braves fans, it's a Spencer Strider day. And Pirates fans, it's a Paul Skenes day. Now, unlike
Harvey Day back in 2013.
Precisely. So
and right now with Seattle, we currently have a Luis Castillo bump day, a Kirby bump day, a Gilbert bump day, a Bryce Miller bump day. Yeah, we got 4 bump days, but that's really great.
Yeah, this is exactly
when Felix Day was
Dude,
the big
Felix
thing.
Day was an actual straight up holiday in
Exactly.
Seattle.
Exactly. So this is why the hype, you may think, got out of control. I was scrolling through Twitter and it's like, oh, it's just another overhyped prospect or just another. Listen, Bill James, for example, was yelling at clouds. I respect Bill James. I think he was a little off base here. I think hype is important in baseball. Hype is important in every sport. There's a reason in the NBA, LeBron, Zion, Wembanyama, right? The NFL, there's a reason Caleb Williams is going to draw for the Bears. Now they're the Bears, but there's a reason he's going to draw for the Bears. There's a reason Andrew Luck for the Colts, Trevor Lawrence for the Jags. There's marquee players, and I think Paul Skenes is a marquee player. So,
yeah, and I 100% agree. I think he's going to be marquee.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to happen though is I need to see him go deeper in games. I need to see what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
That he needs to be like, I'm going to say averaging before the end of this year. I think he needs to be averaging about 5 to 6 innings.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those weird starts. It was 4+, and listening to other podcasts and other like Baseball Tonight and Effectively Wild and podcasts like that, they talked about how Skenes had a lot of bad misses. So it wasn't like nibbling. It wasn't, ball 2 is like inches out of the zone. They're like a foot out of the zone, multiple feet out of the zone. And I think there were some like game jitters, right? Like this is your major league debut. You're facing, a former MVP in Bellinger and World Series guys in Bellinger and Dansby in the lineup. Dansby's been on the IL recently.
Dansby's hurt right now.
Yeah, but you're facing a good lineup. You're facing a team who, if the season ended today, would currently be in the playoffs. You're facing a good team, right? You're facing Craig Counsell's team, right? So I think there were some jitters. I think there were some aggressive misses, if you will. So I don't think this is a Skenes special or anything. I don't think Skenes is the kind of we all have that guy, whether it's an Edward Cabrera or a Charlie Morton, that always is at 100 pitches in like the 5th inning, right? And if Skenes had kept going, he would have gotten to 100 pitches late in the 5th inning, early in the 6th inning. Skenes is not really that guy. Skenes, especially in college, especially in the minor leagues, very efficient with his pitches. He's a guy that can go, throw 80 pitches in 6 innings. And I think that will be more of definitely the standard moving forward. And I think that's going to be more of he's going to look more like a Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander type than a, guy who's struggling to throw strikes at times.
I really
to your point. Yeah. To your point though, what you're saying about, big time debuts. I mean, yeah, I remember when Strasburg made his debut for, that was a time when the Nationals were kind of in the dumps as a franchise, actually very much so. They hadn't made the playoffs as a franchise since 1981. They were a last place team, but they packed Nationals Park to watch him pitch. It was a sellout crowd. I mean, when else was an 100-loss team going to draw that many fans? And, he lived up to the hype. Skenes, again, the Pirates are struggling. They started 11-5, but they've lost 18-26 since that start. Paul Skenes was the draw. So I think that, and I remember when the Mets were pretty bad in 2013, but Matt Harvey, every time Harvey took the hill at home, it was must-see TV. I went to games. I remember I went to a game that summer just to see Harvey pitch. And I think right now that's kind of what it's going to be with the Pirates. I think they're on the upswing right now, and Skenes is going to be part of that process. But once he starts pitching deeper into games, I think he's going to be the ace of the staff very quickly. I think he and Mitch Keller will form a strong 1-2 duo. I'm really excited to watch his career, though. I think he is an electric arsenal, and there's a reason he went first overall. Sometimes it's kind of hard to judge with college pitchers, especially he was throwing like 125 pitches a game late in the season. But I understand I understand they're being cautious right now. But once those restraints come off, I think we're going to start seeing him throw 6-7 innings, maybe even throw complete games once in a while. It's an exciting time to be a Pirates fan, even though they're struggling right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And one of the things I want to bring up with this overall is that there's one thing I am worried about, and it's something I brought up already, but I want to kind of hammer home the point here just a little bit, and that is durability. And I'm not talking about injuries. I'm talking about how long you could be in a game, like game staying wise. The fact that right now in baseball, we are coming to an era where it's very, very common for pitchers to throw 80, 90, 100 pitches before the end of the 5th, 6th inning. And I think that is something that personally I'm not as big of a fan of. Like, I like being able to be very efficient. It's one of the reasons why I'm so high on George Kirby. It's for the exact same
We know, Alex.
Okay, you can shut your mouth. But legitimately, like that's one of the biggest reasons why. And right now, seeing this from Skenes here, the farther you go in the game, the better, in my opinion. Because in that way, not only are you doesn't mean that you're doing well itself, but also you're saving the bullpen. You're saving those guys so that they can keep rested, so that in case there is a problem with another starting pitcher, you have the bullpen to save them, and they're well rested, ready to go. And if Skenes is the type of guy that is going to be the ace of this team eventually, arguably you could say he is now, but I'm not going to throw that fully.
Jared Jones.
Ah, true.
Yeah, that's the thing. Jones is fantastic. No, the Pirates, on paper could be very, very good soon. I would really like to see them materialize because Pittsburgh is a great baseball city and a great sports city. So it would be good for Pittsburgh, and I think it'd be good for the league if the Pirates became good soon.
I mean,
Absolutely.
obviously, I like the Pirates. PNC Ballpark's still one of
Oh,
the best.
I love
baseball.
PNC. The city itself is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
you know, my there's a reason why my brother went back there for business school. It's because it's an awesome place, really.
So I will plant my flag on this take. Skenes will lead the major leagues in innings one day. He will lead the majors.
I would love for that to happen.
I would love to see it happen. I need to see it happen.
And I think one thing that helps is it's the Javon Kinlaw strategy. My balls are bigger than yours. He will throw his stuff in the zone moving forward. And I think he perhaps got overwhelmed by the moment, perhaps, first game jitters, whatever it may be. I think he's a guy that, hey, it's a 3-1 count. I'm going to throw my best pitch and you're going to miss it. Or you're going to hit a weak little ground ball to O'Neal Cruz or Tamar Johnson here in a couple of years, or Brian Hayes, the GOAT. And I think that's going to be a Skenes thing that he's going to challenge you. And if you get a good swing, maybe you hit a solo home run. This is going to be the stuff is not the stuff is very unique, but I'm just going to stylistically, I think he's going to be on the Justin Verlander sort of path, if you will. So if you're looking for a stylistic comp, again, the pitching's the stuff, the repertoire a little bit different, but I think we have a Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer type arm here in Pittsburgh.
And when you're being compared to guys like that, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, chances are.
Yeah.
Two future Hall of Famers.
One thing I'll say one last thing on this here, and that is that the Pirates right now have two of the most exciting players in baseball, and Paul Skenes and O'Neal Cruz. Having the two of them together, those two people put butts in seats. With how unique both of them are in their play styles, it is their ceiling is so high. It's just about, can they reach it?
Yeah, one thing about reaching, JD Martinez's bat reached Wilson Contreras' arm last week directly, not on a backswing, not on a love tap, not like a Marcelo Ozuna, Will Smith situation. Mac, as the resident Metropolitans fan, walk me through JD Martinez in the batter's box and Wilson Contreras writhing on the ground in pain.
So this is a tough one, really. For those who are not aware, the Cardinals, in an effort to help Wilson Contreras with his defense and with his pitch framing, I've told him to set up a little closer to the plate when he's catching, like Splash is demonstrating on the screen right now.
We are on StreamYard.
Yes.
If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, check out our YouTube.
So he sets up, pretty close to the plate. And Martinez is a guy who stands kind of deep in the box, and unfortunately, he took a swing that made direct contact with Contreras' catching arm, and it fractured his left arm, which is not a pretty sight. The Cardinals have been a disaster this year, to be completely honest with you guys. And Contreras has been their best hitter, and now he's probably out, who knows, 6-8 weeks at least. It's an ugly situation, and the thing is that Martinez, like I was saying, Martinez is a guy who sets up deep into the box, and he has a longer swing, which is why most of his power is to the opposite field. People are trying to take shots like, oh my God, Martinez, he's a dirty player because he injured William Contreras before. No, that's his swing path. I mean, it was kind of a tough spot. I don't know what else he could have done differently to avoid this. In reality, it makes me wonder though, is it worth sacrificing the health of your player for the supposed advantage behind the plate? Because Contreras, like I said, was having a great offensive year. He was the only bright spot in the St. Louis lineup, and now he's out because of this whole situation. So, catcher's interference is up across baseball, if I'm not mistaken, this year. And you're probably going to see more of these types of injuries. I know,
Way
Alex,
up.
you saw
Yes.
Cal Raleigh take a shot yesterday.
Mhm.
It's part of the game now, unfortunately. And, catcher's interference has always been a thing, but it hasn't been, it hasn't occurred at the rate it's occurring this year.
Yeah. And so one thing I'm going to bring up here, and I know I'm going to make people angry with this, don't care. Again, this is something that umpires need to be better at doing here. The fact that umpires, one, need to be understanding to see, all right, hey, the batter, his swing's a little bit longer here, and the catcher's setting up right there. One, maybe give a nod to the catcher, like, hey, getting a little close there, you may get hit. But also, the same other bit there, framing shouldn't be a thing. Legitimately, if you honest to God think that the pitch is a strike because it is from where it ends on the catcher, it's like in this catcher's glove when it stops moving, you're wrong. You are wrong and bad. The strike zone itself is a three-dimensional object. That if the ball ever touches that three-dimensional object on its path, then it's a strike. If it does not, it is a ball. It's that simple. No part of that has to do with catching a ball here and then going, oh, that's not how it works. Here, I understand why it's a thing and why people talk about it for that very purpose. But what it does tell me as well is that umpires need to be doing a better job of tracking the ball and making sure that their eyes are locked in on that, to where if you see that the catcher's glove is moving, keep your eyes on where the ball was caught at, not where it ends up at, because that's the big issue when it comes to it. Now, back again, fully on catcher's interference here. I agree that I don't think it's worth the risk that you're taking on it, because right now the catcher is one of the most brutal positions in all of sports, in my personal opinion. You're playing probably 120 games where you are crouching for 9 innings, right? That's on defense wise, that's probably about an hour and a half. You're crouching, you are controlling the game, you are having to catch pitches that you cannot see because of how fast they are, that move in ways that the human body was not able, that should not be able to make a baseball move. And you are doing it here while also having to make plays, call the game, do all of this stuff. Why would you risk that here and risk injuring the hand, which is arguably one of the most important parts of a catcher here, is the hand you catch the ball with here, just for the chance at getting a better strike if the umpire is not good enough at what they do?
Here's the thing. This is not just a framing thing. This is also a controlling the base running game. This is blocking pitches. And that's the sort of factor at play here, that batters are getting progressively deeper and deeper and deeper into the box to counteract. Usually it's to counteract breaking pitches, not to counteract fastballs, because major league players can hit the fastball. But you could make the argument that you could move back in the box to help against facing 100 every single game. But regardless, players stand at the back of the batter's box and are always foot on the line. You never see the line because every player has their foot on it, especially the right-handed batter's box. It's like there's no line because it's just worn away. And catchers, it's a priority to be as close as possible, not only to frame pitches, specifically at the bottom of the zone. I was listening to Rates and Barrels last night, and they said that the called strike rate at the bottom of the zone went from 7% in the early 2010s to now around 12%. That doesn't sound like a lot. That's nearly double. And this is not a sample size of games. This is a sample size of pitches. And this is tens of thousands of pitches that are being called strikes. And I know that 1 or 2 strikes, maybe not a big deal. But if you're telling me that Wilson Contreras setting up, inches closer, a foot closer, if that's going to be the difference between, say, 250 strikes in a season for his pitching staff, the Cardinals are going to take that risk, because This is the downside, absolutely. And you have the occasional catcher's interference. And yes, there's a huge uptick in catcher's interference, and we're on pace to set a record by a mile. But even then, it's a once every 10 games occurrence, which is a lot more than it used to be. So there's a sort of like, even if you went to automated balls and strikes and framing didn't matter, catchers would still be in that spot so they can throw out base runners. And we know base runners are taking every liberty. Pete Crow Armstrong is touching bases with his helmet. That's illegal, or should be illegal, by the way.
It is illegal, by the way, yes.
Yeah, you should see some of the sliding mitts Acuna wears, Ellie wears. They're like 10 feet long. Like, Ellie has long arms as it is. He can like touch the ground with his sliding mitt. Like, okay. The bases are bigger too. So catchers are, moving up in the, not really a box, but like this catcher area, if you will. They're moving up and moving up and moving up. And that's a proximity to second base or third base matters, or first base for back picks. Like, that matters. And it also matters to block pitches. If the ball's in the dirt, you want to be as close as possible so it doesn't have this goofy bounce. So it's not just framing. It's every part of being a defensive catcher that your priority is to be as close as possible. And you're going to get nicked a couple times. And, once a season, maybe you're going to break your forearm. One catcher's going to break his forearm. That's, 2,400 games, right? One catcher breaks his forearm. Teams will say, okay, yeah, that's fine by me. 2,430 games and one catcher happens to break his arm on one swing. Okay, that is, I don't want to say worth it, but that is
it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. But if you're, let's just take it back to just catcher's interference. Yeah, it's going to be worth the thousands of extra called strikes. It's going to be worth the extra caught stealings at second and third. And it's going to be worth the extra, the blocking runs that the Nick Forteses of the world save, but not JT Realmuto anymore because he's garbage, I guess. I don't know. This is a new development, but regardless.
Here's the problem right now. Like, if we're saying this, like, we're saying this as if like these catchers, all they do is defense, right? Like, if we're talking about this, like, if the same, the hypothetical way that you're saying this happened to Adley Rutschman, we'd be saying this needs to be changed at this exact.
This is a good point. You're invoking like the Buster Posey idea. Yep. Fair enough. You win. You win here.
Yeah.
If it's Adley or JT, probably.
Exactly, but that's what
Will
I'm talking
Smith.
about with this. And this is where like it becomes truly an issue. That point is people, like, players right now you think they're just expendables is a big problem. And to get some more strikes, which again goes back to just having the umpires actually calling the strike that way that needs to be called.
It is every part of the defense. It's not just the pitch framing. I know that's like the big invoke thing, but it is like, at the Mets and their inability to throw out runners.
No, I'm agreeing with you on that.
Yeah, everything matters.
Every
every distance matters there. Blocking matters. So there's, even if you,
I'll say honestly, the biggest one though is the sliding mitt. That needs to be, I think, changed to a strong degree. I would say to something that isn't going to just give you a bunch of extra like distance on that. Unless you're going to fundamentally change how the batter's box works, like, then there isn't, the batter's not doing anything wrong. The only one that's doing something wrong, in my opinion, that was been added in the most recent, like in at least in the semi-recent time, there has been that sliding mitt. And at that point, it's like, okay, you're risking injuring people just so then you is like, because right now you have this mitt that people are using. The batter's allowed to stand in the back of the batter's box. Like, that's a very good thing that they're allowed to do. And a lot of times in baseball, you're nearly required to do it because you're trying to react to 101 mile per hour fastballs
and breaking balls.
Exactly, but I'm referring mostly in fastballs where you need to be early in order to get that. Like, the farther back you are, the better chance you have of making that. So unless you change the outright distance that things need to be done, or you get rid of the sliding mitts, nothing's gonna change.
Can we have like universal sliding mitts? Like, obviously hand sizes are different, but can we get like a like a uniform, like if you have like 9-inch hands, you have 9-inch gloves, or if you or sliding mitts. Because I do not want my base stealers breaking their fingers, right?
I
Yeah.
agree with you. We do need to have I think we should have some sort of universal way to be able to protect the fingers when doing it. But at the same time, also, if you cannot fix that, I would rather you have broken fingers than my catcher have broken arms.
That
I mean,
is okay, fair, but I think the what's the like the amount of times that's going to happen in a season, if you have like the Wilson Contreras thing, that is to me, I think a one-off. I
it's a
think that's
freak injury. Yeah.
yeah, that's a freak injury. Guys like jamming a finger, breaking a finger, whatever at a base, I think that's a much more common injury. So
Mhm.
It's
that's
very
the
common. Yeah.
that's the I guess the numbers issue
Yeah.
were
But
at play there.
and that's what I'm saying. I'm still agreeing that we need to have something that is in that at least as a universal bit, like a universal sliding mitt. I would be fully okay with that. But what I would say at that point is you need to make two changes. One, the universal mitt. The second is where batters and catchers are allowed to be at. Here, changing that slightly to make it so that it is a lot harder for a batter to hit the catcher. Because right now at this point, it's like neither the batter nor the catcher are in the wrong whenever there's a catcher's interference. They are both following the rules of the game. The only difference in it is that they're getting too close while still being in the allowed parameters. But with how the rule is written, it is on the catcher that to be out of the way. It's not on the hitter. So you have to find a way to either make it so then both are either both are changed or one is changed to affect both. And right now, if you say if you tried to move the catcher's box back, right? Like where they're allowed to be, then now you're making it even harder for them to throw out runners. You're making it harder for them to make these blocking plays. I get that. If you try to move the hitters up forward, you're going to see an even bigger decrease in batting average and just overall offense.
Yeah, we do not need to look at the Cardinals' batting average this season.
Yeah,
it's in the 220s.
But that's what I'm saying.
Better than the White Sox.
There has to be
Reds.
a change. I don't know what it is though yet. Personally, I would say change both of them, and then just figure out how you're going to make it work from there. And then get a universal sliding mitt that is one that you have to be using this version of it, because otherwise you're getting extra inches on it. Then that's just baseball is a game of inches, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And if you're gaining those free extras, that's the difference between being out and being safe.
Yeah, and to your point though about framing and all that, I think that might go away soon because we're seeing it in the minor leagues and in independent leagues. ABS, automatic balls and strikes, where you can challenge strike calls a couple times a game. You know, with that probably on the horizon, pitch framing might almost become extinct, which on one hand, it's like I get your point, Alex, about umpires need to be better at their jobs and all that, but at the same time, some players like Jeff Mathis, for example, he's the primary example, made their careers off being good pitch framers. Now they might be out of the league, and well, granted, Mathis I think hung it up in 2021 or 22.
World Series champion.
Yeah, he got his ring, but yeah, so the game is going to continue changing. And that's going to be one of those things.
It's one of the things I love about this game is that it's always changing, always evolving. Like, again, going back to, we're still not that far off from when the pitch clocks were introduced and how amazing how much good that has done for the game to make them not near as long and still be very entertaining and very good, fun, fast-paced gameplay.
Yeah, the framing thing is tough because it was always a skill. Like, it's always been a thing. But then you start putting numbers to it, like with what Fangraphs does and what Baseball Prospectus does. So teams started valuing it more and more and more, and you had the Molina family, and you had Mathis, you had Austin Hedges, right? You had these defensive catchers that their thing is they're going to save you runs, right? Defensively, they're going to call extra strikes for your pitching staff. And that would just be tough to say all of a sudden framing is a worthless skill. Like imagine if you weren't allowed to steal bases anymore, right? That would decrease the value of Bryce Turang. That would decrease the value of Ellie and Ronald and Lane Thomas and Jacob Young and all these players around the league. And it would increase the value of catchers who couldn't throw, right? That would increase the value of like a Travis d'Arnaud type. It would increase the value of the New York Mets, right? Imagine if you couldn't throw out base runners, right? It would just take away an entire skill, the JT Realmuto skill.
But
right?
that's the thing, though. Like, it's not just a skill, because legitimately, you're like, yes, some people are better at it than others. But going back to again the original point of this, if the umpires like are able to get this, then then it's worthless anyway.
That is okay. That is fair. That's I guess the hard part to get around is that it's simultaneously a skill, but it's also something that shouldn't matter.
Exactly. That's actually the best way to define it right now, because as much as I want framing to not matter, it does. And I hate saying that, because at this point right now, we can't have just umpires be absolutely perfect. I've done the job. I know how hard it is. That job is one of the most brutal, vilified positions that you could do, like working wise.
It's thankless. Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrid.
Really.
Like, I still have horror stories from people keying my car from like people that didn't like my calls.
Oh geez. Okay.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying, is that it is a tough, thankless job. So when I say that they need to be better, that's not out of anger, that's not out of spite, that is out of please. I know how hard you guys work. I know how much it's like you put into this job. We even make jokes about guys like Angel Hernandez and CB Buckner that have been historically bad at it. And to be fair, I'm not giving them any slack here on this one either. I'm not a fan of either of them either. But
okay, we got to talk for a brief moment about the White Sox Cardinals game a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God!
There was a 3-hour rain delay in the 10th inning with like 3 pitches left in the game. It's like a 1-0 count. They go in a rain delay, bottom of the 10th in St. Louis, 3-hour rain delay, and CB Buckner rings up the pinch hitter on a pitch like a foot out of the zone, and he has the whole, the wind up. I like the wind up strike 3 calls. And it's like the most ridiculous, like a foot outside of the zone to end the game after a 3-hour rain delay. Not as ridiculous as the rain delay in the Skenes game.
He'd had enough of the day, I think.
Yeah, no, I get it,
so
though.
Funny.
Mine's a bit of a wind up. Mine was the leaf blower or the lawnmower, which
the
was
lawnmower.
pulling the cord.
Yeah.
I would go like the
there you go.
Doing that. That was what I used. But anyway, finishing out kind of the topic on it, right, is that legitimately just umpires. I want you guys to all be better. I know how hard what it takes to do that job. It is hard. It is thankless. It is brutal. You get no respect for doing a job. Like, you're basically WWE jobbers. It's like your entire job is to make everyone, like, to just do it, to make everyone look better from doing your job, and you're often called the villain. That's what it is.
Fair. Well, you know who's a hero? That's Pat Hober. He had a perfect game in the World Series.
Our legend.
Oh yes, yeah, I feel like I haven't. Has he been calling games? I feel like
no, he's not been active this season.
Okay, I was gonna say I haven't seen any of his scorecards this year.
Yeah,
so
I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's hurt or like I don't know. That's the
I know that
umpires.
like last year. I know Angel Hernandez didn't call a game until August because he was hurt. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get well soon then, King, I guess.
One thing I do know, the Philadelphia Phillies are pretty good at baseball. So are we or I'm going to move on to a little buy or sell here. Buy or sell, the Phillies are the best team in Major League Baseball.
All right. I'm going to go first here because they just finished off beating the Mets. They're the first team to 30 wins. Here's the thing. I am absolutely buying that this team is good. They were my pick to come out of the National League in the World Series this year. That being said, they have yet to face a good team this year. If I'm being completely honest.
We will respect the Braves. Otherwise, I agree.
They haven't. What?
Yeah, they faced the Braves opening series.
Oh my God! Right, I completely forgot about. Okay, still, regardless, they played the Braves, and who else have they faced?
The second best team they've played is the Padres.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Or the Nationals.
Is that they've had the weakest strength of schedule this year. So when we're going to learn about this, they have a stretch they have a couple stretches in June and July. I was just looking at this yesterday. They face, hang on, I'm pulling up their schedule right now, but so they have these two more games, the Mets right now. Then they face the Nationals, the Rangers, the Rockies, the Giants, the Cardinals. Then it's this stretch, which includes the London series. They get 3 with Milwaukee, then the London series with the Mets, Red Sox, Orioles, Padres, Diamondbacks. If you want to include the Tigers as a tough opponent, the Tigers. That's all in a row. So June is a pretty tough month. Then to begin July, so they get four with the Marlins to end June. To begin July, you'll get 3 with the Cubs, 3 with the Braves, 3 with the Dodgers. That is the stretch we're going to learn about this team. Because I remember back in 2022 when the Mets were rolling early in the season, it was wait till they face the real teams. Right now, with all due respect to the teams the Phillies have faced this year, I'm still not completely convinced. That being said, they're a very strong ball club. I'm kind of surprised some people were sleeping on them this year. And I say this as a National League East fan. This team is legit. That being said, I still don't see them winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
Alex.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and sell on this as well. I think that they're a very good team. I think they're probably going to make a postseason spot, but I don't think they're going to win the East. I still think that is for the Braves. And right now, kind of piggybacking on what you said here, taking a look at the schedule through April was not impressive. Here, look at the teams that they've played. There's not really any competition except for the Padres, which, don't get me wrong, you sweat the Padres. Good on you. Good job. Other than that, there's not really anything. Then you go into May. Here, there's a little bit more competition. The Giants are a team, and you did sweep them, so good on them. Marlins are not. The Mets they're currently 2-0 against them, and the Mets are still, the Mets.
We're not going to talk about the Monday game. Well,
that was struggling.
That was a disaster. That was a disaster.
We're going to move past on that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is not talking down the Phillies at all. This is saying that they are a good team, but they're not the best in baseball right now. But I will give, some big credits though here. Alec Boehm has played like a madman so far this season. And an OPS plus of 161 and an OPS of 914. That's what you want to see out of Boehm. Also, guys, like Edmundo Sosa, who right now has a 311 batting average, is very interesting. And Whit Merrifield, even at the age of 35, is still producing here decently well. A very low OPS plus, but still has I actually misread what he had. My apologies. No, yeah. So Whit Merrifield is trying to get it going a little bit more. My apologies. I misread my own stat. But overall, the offense is doing fine. Looking at the pitching, again, there's a lot of good things to see on it. Of their main 5 starters, Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, and Spencer Turnbull, all of them have an ERA plus of over 100. That's the only one that doesn't of the 6 that have starts on the year is Taijuan Walker, who's at 85 OPS plus, which he's about that average to above average anyway. So I expect that number is going to go up too. They're not the best team in baseball, but they are dang good. They're going to make a postseason spot.
Yeah. So I first off want to give the Phillies credit. They have played an easy schedule. Absolutely. They have taken advantage of that easy schedule.
That's something.
This
Yeah.
is what
Exactly.
good teams should do. We were giving the Twins props last week for beating the White Sox 7 times in 2 weeks. I will give the Phillies props. I, however, am also selling the idea they are the best team in the National League. First off, I just don't think they're better than the Dodgers. You could argue they're better than the Braves. They're playing better than the Braves. But I would also like to caution you, even with their win over the Mets on today, Tuesday, May 14th, they are 2.5 games up on the Braves. The Braves currently do not have Sean Murphy, do not have Austin Riley at the moment. That makes me very sad. Ronald Acuna is playing like garbage. Matt Olson is playing like garbage. And Austin Riley, before he got injured, was also playing like garbage. And the Braves are only 2.5 back. The Braves, I think, have another gear to reach, and they have a much easier season the rest of the way. They have faced a gauntlet of pitching with the Glasnows and the did they miss Kirby? They definitely played against Castillo. The guys in Boston, Cutter Crawford, Nick Pivetta, those guys are very good pitchers. Even the Mets, you get a Christian Scott. He's good at baseball. This week, you get Shota Imanaga. He's awesome. He is an ERA below 1 now. So the Braves have just faced this slew of great pitchers, and they faced like dead baseballs, I think. And you have, 3 guys who were top 7 in MVP voting last year, all in horrible, horrible slumps. So I think rest of season, I think the Braves will be better than the Phillies. Rest of season, I think the Dodgers will be better than the Phillies. Will that matter in October? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. They're probably going to beat the Braves in 4 again, and I'll jump off the balcony
They'll,
here.
They'll probably make, like I said, they were my pick to make the World Series, not because I want that to happen, but because it seems like the writing's on the wall there.
Yeah, they're built for October. You have the 2 horses, and Ranger Suarez is awesome in October as well. He doesn't get talked about enough. Nola and Wheeler are great. Then you have the Harpers and the Schwarbers and the Stotts and the Castellanoses.
Turner, when he's healthy.
Yeah, he's
been hurt.
Bum,
That's the thing,
but
though.
He has been hurt. That's true. But you have the Harpers and the Schwarbers that always seem to play up in the playoffs unless they're playing the Diamondbacks for some unknown reason. But regardless, the Phillies are really good. The Phillies are probably the 3rd best team in baseball. I would, if you gave me odds on like a series against any of the American League teams, I would take the Phillies. If you gave me odds against the Dodgers, I would take the Dodgers. If you gave me odds against the Braves, regular season, I would take the Braves. Postseason, I would probably take the Braves because I'm a psychopath. But the Phillies are the 1 seed, I think. I think the Dodgers clear. They have just way too much star talent. The Braves clear. I think they have too much depth. And we don't talk about the Phillies bullpen. Like, it's not – it has its warts. It has its warts. The Braves have a great bullpen, unless it's Tyler Matzik, but he's on the IL now. The Dodgers have a really good bullpen. Phillies, a little sketchy.
Yeah, no, I feel that 100%. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do going forward through the month of May at this point. I don't think they're going to fall too much in their own standings here, but looking at what they've got coming up here, they've got a very interesting schedule. They have the Mets for a couple more games, then they have the Nationals for 3, and then you play against the Rangers, who we might be talking about them too. No, I might talk about them. We'll see. But
yeah,
no, the Rangers have not been doing
weird.
well either.
The Rangers are just hurt right now.
Yeah,
they
got swept by the Colorado Rockies in the year of our Lord 2024.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll take credit for that. I didn't go to any games over the weekend, but I was in Denver. And coming into that series, I'm not gonna lie, I saw more Rangers fans on Blake Street than I saw Rockies fans. But
yeah,
don't let the Rockies get hot.
Yeah,
5 straight wins. Just saying.
Good job, everybody. But hey, they're hot. They're rolling. Did they play last night? I know they were on a 4-game winning streak.
They won their 5th in a row yesterday.
Oh my days! The best team in baseball, the Colorado Rockies.
Best team in baseball, I'm telling you.
That has literally never been true. That has never been a correct statement.
I don't know. October of 2007 until the World Series,
they were rolling.
Definitely the best team in baseball.
They were playing like it. That's fair. But they've also never won the National League West. Good job, everybody. Speaking of good job, everybody, we are going to move on to trivia. And once again, I'm hosting trivia. There's a new toy on Baseball Savant. That's called bat tracking. We have
Let's go.
speed. We have swords. Shout out to Rob Friedman. We have squared up percentage. We have all sort of swing length, swing, whatever. Every stat you could possibly want to know about someone's swing is here. And today, Mac and Alex, you are facing off in a good old accumulation battle. Both of you will choose 5 players. I will tally up their swing speeds. Whoever has the highest cumulative swing speed or average swing speed, if you want to look at it that way, you win.
Okay. All right.
Okay. However, neither of you get to take Giancarlo Stanton because I'm sure you both know he's the leader.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're not allowed to take Giancarlo Stanton. You can take everyone else, but you can't take Giancarlo Stanton.
Dang.
So that is my because whoever went first would take Stanton, and he had like the standard deviations. Everyone else is within 2, besides the very bottom, like pitchers hitting. Stanton is 3 over, right? This would be if you're looking at like IQs, this would be an IQ above 145.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. So, anyways, Alex, please pick a number between 1 and 20.
11 for Edgar Martinez.
Mac, please pick a number between 1 and 20.
13.
The answer is 11.
Woo!
Alex, you may go first. So this is bat speed, cumulative bat speed. Alex, who is your first player?
My first
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, no Giancarlo Stanton. So I'm gonna go with Stanton Giancarlo. No.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go with Mike Stanton.
I'm going with Mike. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Mike. Yeah, his buddy Mike. No, I'm gonna go with O'Neal Cruz.
O'Neal Cruz, the Cruz missile, 77.9.
Ooh,
he is second on the list. So that is the best pick you could have made. All right,
Yeah.
Mac.
I'm going to go with Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge is a reasonable pick. Teammate. He is 8th on the list at 76.5.
Okay.
Still pretty good.
Now I'm trying to think of other players that swing really hard. I'm gonna go with Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo. If a player's not on the list, I will let you re-guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Joey Gallo did not qualify.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm screwed then.
I can take away the qualifications if you want.
No. I mean, if you want
Okay.
to.
I'll look at least. Mr. Gallo is. Oh, I need to update it.
Great podcast.
Yes, this is phenomenal podcasting. I should probably not play the Jeopardy. Bro, this. Okay. We are not going to do that. Okay. Alex, please choose a different player.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other players that I would immediately put that are just hard swingers. Like that's mostly what I'm trying to think of immediately. Next up, yay. Who's another big?
This is your second selection.
I'm aware. Let's go with who's other home? Kyle Tucker.
Kyle Tucker. King Tuck leads Major League Baseball in ding dongs right now.
That's why I picked him.
He's very good. He's 72.1.
Okay.
He's above average.
Yeah.
He's above average, but not by much. Mac.
All right. I'm going to go with Kyle Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber is number 3. He's 77 miles per hour.
Yep.
Okay.
Alex.
Next, I'm going to go with Ellie De La Cruz.
Ellie De La Ding Dong is 24th, tied for 22nd at 75 flat.
Okay.
All right.
Mac.
I'm going with Juan Soto.
You already know, though. Juan Soto is number 10, 76.1.
Okay, I was legitimately thinking about Soto earlier, but I thought he doesn't swing that hard, does he?
Yes, he does. He swings very hard. He makes a lot of contact.
All right, cool. Then I'm going to go with Mookie Betts.
Marcus Lynn Betts. You're going to make me have to scroll here, pal. I do not appreciate having to scroll.
He hits the ball so hard.
Not as hard as you might think. Mookie Betts is 69.4.
Nice.
Which is 1, incredibly nice, 2, very below average, and 3, that ranks at a whopping, out of qualified hitters, that ranks a whopping tied for 174th.
Jeez.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Good job. Alex, not your pick. It is Mac's pick.
Yeah, it's not my pick.
I believe I saw another Yankee in that top 10 when it got posted. I think it's Anthony Volpe.
Anthony Volpe.
I may be completely wrong on this as the thing.
I definitely did not see this list, by the way.
Okay, it would be nice if I could find Volpe. That probably isn't exciting for you, Mac, but
I made a good first pick and have gone downhill since.
You made quite literally the best pick.
Yeah.
And if I'd given you the Anthony Volpe, 68.6. That is 192nd. Okay. So
I must have misremembered something.
Okay.
All right. So heading into the last pick, Alex, you trail by 3.8 total miles per hour. I know that makes absolutely 0 sense.
Don't worry.
Go with it.
I got you. All right. Another name. I'm not going to be thinking forever on this one. I'm going to go with Acuna.
Ronald Acuna Jr., the pickoff specialist himself, 76.7. That is a very good pick. Mac, to win, you need a whopping 72.9. So I'm not going to bother counting the players that you can't pick, but there are 70 players who have 73 or more, and there's 2 players at exactly 72.9. If you happen to get one of those, I end this in a tie. I don't care. You have 70 options. Will you find water?
And this is out of qualified players,
yes,
right?
Yes, this is out of qualified. If you happen to say a non-qualified player, I'll give you another guess out of.
Because I had a guy in my head who I don't know if he's qualified anymore. That's the issue. In case you're wondering, I was thinking of Mike Trout. I don't know if
Mike Trout does in fact qualify.
All right, I'm taking Mike Trout then.
Mac, congratulations. That is a 75.7. You're on the fairway. You win by 2.8 points. So congratulations. Nice. Well played. 373.9 to 371.1. So Alex, you really saved yourself there with the 76.7 at the end and the O'Neill Cruz call. So good job, fellas.
I was carried by the cruises.
Yes. I'm surprised. The highest players that were not picked, Matt Chapman, Christopher Morel, Joe Adell, Julio Rodriguez.
Wow.
Really? Alex?
I mean, honestly, I was looking back at Julio's swing, and he doesn't look like he swings that hard. It looks so smooth.
I know that Trout is really quick through the hitting zone, so I had a feeling he'd be up there somehow.
So there you go. Mac, you got the dub today.
Thank you.
Despite your Mets being garbage. Sorry.
Yeah, they're struggling.
Unless Brandon Nimmo's playing
great. Doing, by the way. Splash.
Who?
Because how's for your Mets? If you're talking about the Mets. For your Braves, considering that the Mets aren't doing great, how's Spencer Strider doing for you?
I
don't
know, man.
Is a low blow, pal.
I gotta save Mac. If you're attacking Mac out of pocket, I gotta defend him.
We are in the same division, pal. At least the Mets have been to a World Series and actually won 2 of them, like the Philadelphia Phillies. Anyways, we're going to move to our time to ourselves. I would like to go first because I have a bone to pick.
Go for it.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Folks, there are 2 kinds of people in the world. There are reasonable people, and there are people that will blow up your friendship for $25. I would recommend not being friends with the second kind of person. I've done hundreds of these shows, whether it's Cheap Seats Chatter, whether it's this iteration, whether it's the wonderful time I spent at U Stadium, whether it's my own Splash Rant stuff. There are only a handful of people I gave shout outs to. And one person I did give a shout out to left me on red when I sent them the podcast link, when I sent them to the link to it. Like, hey, I'm going to give you a shout out today. And I got left on red for that. That was I should have known right there. You are a scumbag. You are a loser. So be gone, loser. Okay, I definitely hit the wrong button, but we're good.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm sorry about that. Like that's really rough, mate.
Over $25.
Wow, that's petty right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
And the lying is the wild part, but
true.
feel free to go ahead.
All right, Mac, you want to go next? Or you want me to go?
You can go.
All right, sounds good. Give me a countdown.
Splash, since you're the host.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so I'm gonna keep it on my Mariners for just a moment here, and that's talking about my boy George Kirby. I love him so much, and Angry Kirby is one of the best pitchers in baseball, and I love watching him work. Yesterday's game, I'm gonna be recording this on 5/14, so I had one of the worst first innings I've seen from Kirby, and came back and he got angry very quickly and got in the zone, got locked in, and it was beautiful to watch him play. Ryan Divish just tweeted out a few hours ago here a quote from George Kirby saying, "I like to be pissed off when I pitch. I just feel better. It's just part of my game. I like to be pissed out there." And I think that is absolutely beautiful to see. I love watching him play when he's on fire. When other players get angry, they get wild, they get ineffective. When George Kirby gets angry, he gets locked in.
Yeah, I can confirm George Kirby is good at the whole
He's
ball-based thing.
very good.
He's very based.
Yes, he is.
Sure. All right, Mac, your turn, sir.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
So I'll go back to a topic for a second that we brought up briefly, and I spoke about it last week too. Look, and I understand that being an umpire is a thankless job. It's incredibly difficult, but the events in the ninth inning of last night's Mets Phillies game was just abhorrent. And I'm going to throw the 10th inning there too. For those who don't know, Edwin Diaz did not have a good game. Okay, it's fair to say the Mets offense left a lot of guys on base too, but 3-1 pitch in a one-run game, by the way. Whit Merrifield's bat literally went through the entire zone, and somehow the first base umpire said no swing. Look, Whit Merrifield even thought that was a swing. Tomas Nido thought that was a swing. Diaz thought that was a swing. Mendoza starts yelling at the umpire. And of course, the next batter, boom, gets hit by a pitch. All right, there's nothing. Okay, that is actually Diaz's fault, sure. But he doesn't have to face Alec Boehm if Whit Merrifield gets called for that swing. Need I mention that the 1-1 pitch was a fastball at the knees called a ball? And I'm going to add on to this that in the 10th inning, which, yes, the Phillies scored, this probably doesn't change the outcome, but the umpire crew forgot the count. They had to go to a video review because they forgot the count. All right. Like I said, umpiring is incredibly difficult, but stuff like this is the reason why they get such a bad rap. That's just unacceptable. Like I said, I don't like saying that wins and losses are caused by umpires, but yesterday felt like something where an umpire basically decided the game.
As someone who is actively rooting for the Phillies' downfall, even if it means the Mets win a game, I was appalled yesterday. I obviously saw the Diaz meltdown, like scrolling through the phone, but then the backlash on the Bird app.
Yeah, like I get it.
Wow.
Like he didn't have his good stuff. He hasn't been himself this year. But like, I mean, I guess when you're struggling, you can't even get those type of calls. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, at least he's a better closer than AJ Minter is. We're not going to talk about that. Oh, good Lord. Anyways, the Braves nearly threw a no-hitter, and we are nearly at the end of this podcast. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, at @LAR_baseball, you can follow Mac at the Sports Guy 242. You can follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. You can follow me at Mr. Splashman19. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. I'm going to start doing videos, actually doing videos this time, not pretending to do videos. So yeah, we are also on Instagram. And with that, remember everyone, umpires are people too.